Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Points of Articulation. I'm your host Dave, and if you're new to the channel, welcome everybody. Today I'm looking at the Takara Tomy Star Wars Slave 1, released in 2016. This vessel was first seen in Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. So for those who don't know, this is a modified Firespray class patrol and attack ship. In the Star Wars universe, it was used mostly by the bounty hunters Jango and Boba Fett. Now, the reason why I like these ships, besides it being owned by a bounty hunter, is that it's like a Swiss Army knife. It's just full of different weaponry. Now, as we saw in the films, right here in this section, we do have some laser cannons right about here. We saw an Attack of the Clones. And on the bottom, we do have our rotating twin blaster cannons, which are awesome. Now, there are different weapons, like I mentioned, scattered throughout the main body here and even the aft section. Just to name a few, we have ion cannons, concussion missile launchers, tractor beam emitters, torpedo launchers, and, of course, on the aft, we have these seismic charges. Not to mention a great array of different sensors, jamming equipment, and deflector shields. This thing is awesome. So for the size of this miniature, we're looking at about maybe a little under 2.5 inches tall, which I know some of us out there will go, these are small, but these are Takara Tomy vessels. They're not Hot Wheels that are 3 inches. These are more on the smaller side. So if you're new to my channel, what I'd like to do is look at the box this comes in. Then we'll take a nice look at the mold, going over the major points and getting a close-up look to see those fine details. After that, we'll take a look at the paint, put it on the stand, and then compare it to some other pieces. So let's get started. Now, before we get to the miniature, let's take a quick look at the box it comes in. Now, this box has seen better days, but it's intact enough that we can look at it and admire the art. So we have the logo, Star Wars Takara Tomy Slave 1, Disney all ripped apart, and then we have this beautiful shot of the ship, and it's number 7 in the collection. Very nice on the top, nice view on the bottom, excellent on the side, beautiful stuff. And I love this. We have a nice write-up. We have Boba Fett tracking the Millennium Falcon. And also, Han Solo being loaded onto the Slave 1 on Bespin. Very awesome looking. Great stuff. And on the back, we have our copyright crap. So, pretty interesting stuff. So let's get this video started looking at the mold. Like in all my videos, I will go over all the major sections of the item. And then we'll get a nice close-up look to see those fine details. So first up, on the bottom here, we have our rotating twin blaster cannons. Now these are movable. You can see they're a little loose in the front, but let's take a closer look at that real quick. So for the twin rotating blaster cannons, they go about that far up and about that far down, and that's it. You know, I don't want to break it, so let me raise it up and then force it down, and there you go. Pretty cool. Nice. Now moving up this next section, we have tons of beautifully molded paneling here, different modules, which looks really cool. I like how that came out, even the bottom, looking good. Now mixed all down here are an array of different weaponry and gadgets, such as ion cannons, more laser cannons, and torpedoes. All that stuff is in here, so pretty cool. Coming up, we have our cockpit, which looks amazing, and yes, it is recessed in compared to the main body, and I love that. Really dope. Coming up to the top, we do have our sensors and all that stuff, so pretty cool. Now on the sides, we have our stabilizer fins, and these are movable and they look fantastic. Let's take a quick look at that real quick. Now for the stabilizer fins, you can see this really cool detail in there. But the fin can rise up, and it's pretty level. Pretty cool. And it can lower. I'll get another shot of that. It can go up, and it can go down. Nice. I always love these moving parts. Well done. Now turning the ship to the side, we can see again Some beautiful detailing. Very nice. We have our entry ramp or boarding ramp in the back, which leads to the cockpit and the cargo bay, which looks cool. We have a rivet. Pretty nice. On the aft section, we have 2 rivets, 4 wheels, which are translucent, and of course the copyright crap, made in Vietnam. Now on the back here, we have our hyperdrive, shield generators, all that stuff. And of course we have our main thrusters, which are right there. And then right here should be the repulsor generators. So that's pretty cool. And some nice detailing. Fantastic work. So I pretty much covered all the major sections of the Slave 1. So now let's get a closer look. And now having a closer look at the Slave 1, we'll begin with the aft section, or engine section as some like to call it. We have our rivet. We have our translucent wheels, which the mold to hold those in sort of takes away from the aft section. You can see it best down here. It is what it is. But it does take away a part of the engine here and a part of this section as well. I believe this is like a thrust controls or something like that. But regardless, fantastically done. I love this section right here with these grates, the recesses and race sections, the repulsor lift generators, and I love the interiors with that little fan cover there. Great stuff. Amazing. Another rivet. And then at the bottom we have Tamika, made in Vietnam. And I think out of all my collectibles, this is the only collection that is made in Vietnam. Usually it's like China or Taiwan or something like that. So pretty cool. I know it's not a big deal to most, but I get a kick out of where things come from. Now, let's look at the stabilizer fins, and I want to point this out. And I know some of you might not care, but it's pretty cool. Now, when you turn this, it's like a micron of negative space. There we go. It's completely shut. And that is amazing. That way, no matter how much you play with this, you're never going to rub the plastic and cause paint scraping or damage. That is awesome. Kudos to the engineers that designed it that way. But awesome stuff. Now for the mold on those stabilizer fins, we can see some recesses, some paneling, some raised sections. Nothing is flat on there, even though it looks it. Just well done. I like that quite a bit. The same could be said for this side. And you know what? We're just going to focus on one because they are identical in form and function. So we'll take a look at this one. We're going around the edge. You see there's a minor seam line there. But pretty cool. Love the molding on here. Nice. And if we turn it, we can look right here. We have some molding there. Beautifully done section in the aft. And look at this. We got line work, pistons, modules, some recesses. Excellent. If I turn it real quick, you can see how beautiful that looks. And when you turn it, they even molded the recessed area that holds this section. You can see it fills in the gap right there. That is a nice touch. They did not need to do that at all, but they did. Now for the center section, not much to talk about. It's mainly smooth where the main body of the triangle is, and then detailed on the edge. And I think that looks great. We have our main body, and look at all those pistons and pipes, all the machinery in there. That is amazing. I love that. And that's the same for this side. Like I mentioned, they were identical, but well done. Excellent stuff. Now, looking at the skirt section, as I like to call it, we have a lot of little modules and line work. Now, where the line work is, each one of these panels are raised up, and you can see what I'm talking about right here. Almost like a Kit Kat bar. If anybody knows what a Kit Kat is, it's like 5 bars of chocolate that are cut almost so you could break them apart, and that's what it looks like to me. See, like right there, Kit Kat. But anyway, a beautiful job doing the paneling on here. This skirt section is amazing. Some nice details, some beautiful molding. Love the raised sections. Here we have our boarding ramp, which looks amazing. Again, I love the little recesses around the raised areas. That's a nice touch as well. We have this little grate here. Just well done. And we're back to the front for the green areas. Not much going on. It's mostly just line work. But again, nicely done. And that's the same for this side. Excellent stuff. Now for the main body, before I start talking about the paneling, I want to talk about the cockpit window. And you can see how it is a little recessed compared to the main body. And that is a nice touch. They didn't need to do that. They could have made it flat. But that's the way they did it. And it's film accurate. And it looks amazing. It's so small that it's hard to see. But you could sort of make it out on the top and right here. And if you had it in your hand, you could feel it. This little lip here. But well done. Nice and smooth too. Excellent stuff. Now for the main body's detailing, it's a lot of line work, some recesses and raised sections. Looking good. And right here, it's hard to see above my finger, they did like these little recessed and raised etch marks. Now that's not on this side, but it is on that side, and I think it looks awesome. Coming down, we have our cockpit, which we already looked at. And then look at all this. This is amazing stuff. Beautiful line work, raised sections. Amazing. And that even goes to the top and the sides here. We have these pipes that go to the twin blaster cannons. Looking amazing. You can see the little mold there. The guns aren't done too well, but they're done in a way that works. So that's cool. And that's the same for this side. Molding's a little different, but everything else is mostly the same. Just a beautiful piece. Nicely done. I like it quite a bit. The paint is a little sloppy right here, but it's not a problem. For the size, you don't even notice it from a distance. But a beautifully done vessel. And what do you guys think about the Slave One? Did you like it ever since Empire? Let me know in the comments below. And then we have underneath the tail section, if you will. Another rivet, some beautiful raised sections here. Excellent. And then a peg port for the stand. Just an amazing piece. And that does it for the Slave One's mold. I think this is a very beautiful vessel full of nice details. So now let's take a look at the paint. And now looking at that paint on the Takara Tomy Slave One, this baby features about 11 different colors. You heard me right, 11. Just about anyway. And this is, even though many people would say, oh, there's nothing special about it, the paint on here is amazing. So let's get started. First of all, we have the main color, which I'm going to say is a light greenish gray. Now, before I get called out that it's actually tan, it's not. If you compare the main color to green and this khaki green and even white, which is above my finger, and these little dots here, you can see there is a greenish hue to it, especially when you compare it to the maroon. The same could be said about this molded plastic back here. And if you look on these stabilizing fins, this is more of a off gray or a tan. And you can see that it doesn't match at all. So pretty interesting. And I do like the color choice. Pretty nice. Now moving on from there, we do have some light green. This khaki or olive green on the sides. Reminds me of World War II uniforms. So pretty awesome. Moving on from there, we do have tan right here. Like I mentioned before, this off tan, or I guess off white, gray, I should say, for these fins that move. And on the interior, we have light brown and dark brown, and you can see how they clash right there, which is pretty cool. Same for this side. Very nice. We have dark gray for the top of the vessel, as well as the boarding ramp, which looks pretty good. Now, this section here for the cockpit, I was going to say it's a dark gray, similar to the top here, but something's a little off. It's not necessarily black, but I would say maybe a dark charcoal, if that makes any sense. As you can tell, it does have like a grayish hue to it, but you could definitely see some black in there as well. So pretty interesting. On the sides, we do have white coming up right here, and we also have the white right here in the green, which is a nice touch. Now that dark gray is also for the molded plastic on the laser cannons right here, which is pretty cool. And finally, we have maroon, which is for this base piece here. Very nice. And of course, like I mentioned, this is just molded plastic. All in all, in my opinion anyway, a beautifully painted piece. So that's everything I have to say about the paint as well as the molds. Now let's put this baby back on the stand, compare it to some other pieces, and then we'll be done. And now for a quick size comparison with the Takara Tomy Star Wars Slave 1 seen in the center, I have a couple of other Slave 1 vessels from other popular lines. First, on the right hand side, we have the Hot Wheels Star Wars Slave 1, looking very nice. And then finally, on the left hand side, we have the Star Wars Titanium Series Slave 1. So guys, let me know below, which one do you prefer? Do you like the Hot Wheels version, the Takara Tomy, or do you like the Star Wars Titanium series? Now, the Hot Wheels version, I think, has a very good mold. However, the Takara version and also the Titanium version have moving parts as well as pretty decent molds. So let me know what you guys think below. And for an added bonus size comparison with the Takara Tomy Slave 1 seen in the center, I have all the other Takara Tomy vessels I've reviewed thus far. Moving from the right to the left, we have the Millennium Falcon, the Resistance A-Wing, the Imperial Star Destroyer, the Rebel Y-Wing, and finally the First Order TIE Fighter. Now, all of these vessels are great in their own ways. Sure, some are better than others, some come with stands and some don't, but it's a real testament to how the line has transformed. If you've been following my videos, you know that we started with vessels that were very simplistic, like the Imperial Star Destroyer, very flat, and like the Falcon, where it has a lot of flat on it. But then the line began to grow, and we started to get these very beautiful models like the Resistance A-Wing here. Now, that's not to say the other models aren't good. The Slave 1's mold is fantastic, as well as the Y-Wing and the First Order TIE Fighter. They're all good in their own way, and this is a great line in my opinion. If you can get your hands on it, go for it. And before we continue, if you're interested in seeing reviews of any of the vessels I showed today, check the links in the description below. And you know what, here's a sneak peek. I know some of you out there might have been wondering, how does an ATST use one of these Takara Tomy stands? And here you go. This is a First Order ATST, complete with its stand, the same one I used for the Slave 1. And I have to say, it's a cool design. But, you know, if we're all talking about sneak peeks and what's coming on the channel, this here is the Disney exclusive Galaxy's Edge version. And this here is a fantastic piece. I love how the legs actually are two separate pieces. Look at that. A fantastic piece. This really is great. And I can't wait to review it. Yeah, it's half what we already know and half something that's new. But it's awesome looking. I think it came out great. And I can't wait to look at it with all of you. So, enough of this. Let's get back to the Slave 1. And that does it today for my review of the Takara Tomy Star Wars Slave 1, released in 2016. For the mold, it is awesome. Hands down, one of the coolest vessels I've seen for this collection. It has moving parts, and the detailing is fantastic. Now, some may argue that the laser cannons might be a little loose, which is true, but hey, the titanium versions are loose as well, so it is what it is. None of these ships are going to be perfect. For the most part, they're designed as toys. So they're not really made to last and do all that cool stuff that something that would be $500 is going to do. But for what it is, it's awesome. Moving on to the paint, we have about 10 or 11 colors working together, and it really is amazing. I think this whole miniature came together very well. For the stand, there is none. I had to use a first order AT-ST stand and tilt it sideways, but if you can find something to hold this up, by all means, get it. If some of you out there collect these and you know of a stand that works with this particular ship, please let me know in the comments below. And that's everything I have to say about the Slave One today. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. And if you'd like to see new videos every Thursday, subscribe. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to watch my content. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time. Bye, everybody.